Welcome to Rewired for Great Success with Dr. Aimee V. Sanchez, neuropsychologist, executive coach, organizational development expert, award-winning best-selling author, and international speaker. Dr. Sanchez is on a mission to impact 1 million leaders through her thought leadership and specialized programs for women leaders. She is passionate about helping organizations strategize and draw a direct connection between leadership, diversity and inclusion, and organizational outcomes. Welcome to the conversation.
A former executive director and head of diverse advisor engagement at JP Morgan Chase & Co. And I've invited her here today just to really have a conversation. And you'll understand what I mean by that when we get started, because she's a wealth of information and she is like a bolt of energy and inspiration. But basically, we're going to, in this time here today, discuss a variety of topics, such as the importance of developing the skills that you need to be able to deal with pushback and to gain buy-in for your ideas. We're also going to talk a lot about life and where she is currently in her journey as a leader. This will likely be a value add for you because we're going to talk about so many things that impact women across the board. Some of you that are listening today may be going through some of these very things right now that we're going to talk about. So if you're listening, take notes, get out your notepad. If you have to, you're probably going to want to watch this or listen to this, I should say, on a replay. But today's episode is absolutely for you, the woman leader. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you, Jack, for being here. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. So excited to be here. I was just sharing with you. I'm like, I can't believe it's already Labor Day. Oh my gosh. We have already made it 9 months into 2020 and we made it.
Yes, we made it. We made it. You know, for the listeners here, I just want to share a little bit about how I met you. Jack and I were connected by a mutual friend for a project that we were working on for a national organization. And in that project, we did something very similar to this, where we taught about 200 women on issues, women leaders, I should say, on issues related to intersectionality in the workplace, okay? And so of that experience, we developed this friendship and this sisterhood. And so I just, when I was thinking about doing this episode, I thought of you because I remember there was something that you said during that webinar where you said, basically, I could pitch anything. My job has, created this situation where you really have to set the stage for people when you want them to be able to buy into whatever it is that you're pitching. And that her natural kind of energy around rallying forces, coordinating access to resources, and just being that person that is a go-getter, it comes naturally to her. So when I thought about this episode, I thought about, I'd love to have Jack come on and talk about how to be pitch perfect in any situation. Pitch perfect. Because that is the thing, if you are about that life in corporate America, right? And you know that it's not just about when you're delivering a presentation or you're trying to negotiate for a salary increase. Maybe you're trying to get someone as an ally to come over to your side of the table. Having the ability to use your style of communication and persuasion when you connect with that person, whoever that audience is going to be a skill that you need to develop as a woman leader, but also master as you continue to ascend in your leadership. So I wanted to ask you about that. How have you used this skill in your corporate life as far as being pitch perfect, and how did you develop it?
Yes, well, I have this saying, and people better not go and take it. If they take it, I'm cashing in. But I have a saying called "the deck will get you the check." And, I tease about that, about the deck will get you the check. But it's really about what I learned, especially in my last role, and even now as I move into entrepreneurship, really having a very succinct message about what it is you're trying to solve for, right? Because really that's what we're trying to do, right? So whether it was, me pitching the role itself that I wanted to play in the organization, whether it's me pitching myself with a future client and, you know, the opportunities I'm able to bring to the table that help them solve a specific need. It's really just about, you know, nowadays, especially with everything that we have going on, so many people have so many competing priorities. Having a very clear, I like to say the deck, you know, the deck, if you will, that, you know, doesn't have to be, you know, what I also learned, you know, especially in my last where I dealt with a lot of C-suite professionals that were, you know, again, CEOs of lines of business. They had multiple people coming at them with multiple requests, right? And so you had to go in knowing your stuff. You may have had 3 minutes, maybe 2. You might have an opportunity to present maybe even 1 slide. You may have done 20-page deck that you spent like 3 days, if not 3 weeks, like just over, and then you only get 1 slide. So what I will tell you, what I've learned in the pitch perfect sort of scenario is you will spend hours, maybe doing 20 slides, 10 slides, but when you're ready, I would dare say, get it to that 1 power slide, that 1 slide that can just tell the story. I use pictures in my decks nowadays because, again, a lot of words tend to confuse people who have a lot on their minds. Again, some of these folks, they're multitasking while you're presenting. So you gotta be, you know, very succinct and very, very, very laser focused and to the point. I also operate in 3s. So I'll say, you know, when I think about my, my pitch or my deck, or just period, what I'm trying to maybe articulate as I'm going and presenting, say, of my business case or et cetera to a team, I'm always thinking about what are the 3 things that I want to make sure that I leave them with. So what is, you know, again, what's the problem? How am I, or what is the solution? And what's the next steps? And so to me, you know, I might spend hours creating a 35-page deck to only get it down to that 1 page that articulates what is the here's the problem, here's the solution, and here's how we get started, or here's the next steps. So I'll leave it there. I'll pause there.
That is so good. That is so good. So keep it in the power of 3. And if you're listening to this, you probably picked up on the fact that Jack has been doing this for a while, right? And so even with her level of mastery on being able to talk to different audiences, it doesn't matter who's in the room, she's still saying that preparing before you go in there is key to being able to execute on that idea that you're trying to push properly. So I also want to ask you too, since we're talking about the power of 3, what would be 3 main suggestions that you would advise women leaders to consider when it comes to dealing with things like pushback or gaining buy-in for your ideas? So we've gotten you in the room, you're in the room, got your 1 slide, and you're thinking you're hitting on every, you know, measure.
Right.
And you've prepared yourself, you've thought about who's in the room, you're thinking about what they might say to counter that, but still when that pushback comes up, there's a little bit of panic because you're like, okay, I'm in a room full of people, how do I deal with this? Or maybe it's not even that you're giving a presentation and you're on the spot. It could be something as easy as an email or just the nonverbal cues that people are giving you. There's a certain presence or a certain demeanor that's happening or an exchange that's nonverbal when you walk in the room, right? And so when you're sitting in that meeting, even something as simple, you could offer up an idea and they gloss over it like you're not even there. So how do you deal with things like pushback?
Yeah, that's fun. So pushback, we have to almost anticipate it, right? So first things first, anticipate objections, anticipate pushback. I've been in sales for the last 27 years. I had to get used to the word no, or not now, or tell me more, or I don't understand, you know, whatever that might be. I need to go check with my wife, my husband, my business partner. I mean, you name it. Or, you know, that's stupid. I used to hear words like, that's pie in the sky, Jackie, go back on your planet. So, I mean, so serious, because I would come in with some of the craziest, out of the box, innovative, in my mind, ideas that I just thought, hey, why not? And so granted, yes, pushback is going to happen. Expect it. I would say number one, expect it and try in advance. What I try to do now, again, just because I've had to go into so many pitches and sales presentations, that I anticipate a lot of that in advance. And so I try to already have those things sort of already outlined in advance. So for example, as part of my pitch, I might say, you know, some of the problems or some of the objections that we typically hear are X, right? So I'm going to kind of, you know, knock it out up front, you know, so that way if they were already kind of trying to go there with me, I'm like, look, boys, I done been there, done that. and so I might say something like, you know, in something like this, I know that most clients tend to, you know, worry about X, Y, and Z, and come up with that list and be honest about it. Think about times where you were rejected or you got pushback. Deal with it and maybe add that as part of your pitch. And then how did you solve for it, right? You know, when I got this objection, you know, you might say to that audience, this is how we were able to overcome that, or here's how we were able to solve for that, or help that client feel at ease with that, because that's a typical objection that we get. And here's how we're able to help our clients navigate through that successfully. So what I like to do is kind of like get all the crap out the way first. That's really part of my pitch, is when I identify the problem, I also in that pitch start to identify some of the objections that I'm anticipating. I clear those objections. I pause. I then ask them if they have any other questions and or objections, because again, I like to deal with stuff early in the pitch so that the rest of the pitch is really about closing the deal, right? It's about highlighting, you know, how we're going to, again, solve the problem, right? Because we're trying to be a solution to the problem, and then what are next steps so that we can get the ball rolling. But deal with objections first. I would say that would be my other piece. You know, anticipate them in advance, deal with them up front. I always like to get all the, you know, it's kind of like when you just, if the officer pulls you over, God forbid, you're like, okay, you know, sometimes it's just best to be honest. I don't know.
Yes.
Objection.
Be transparent. Yeah.
Kind of just be transparent. Just, you know, here's what's going on. You know, let's just deal with what's the real issue. Why am I here today? Don't forget, you're pitching somebody because there is a problem. You wouldn't just be pitching them if everything was rosy, if everything was working according to plan. You're in that room for a reason. Now it's just got to be about why your product or service, and how you're going to go ahead and get them to commit to moving forward. And so I do a lot of homework in advance. You know, again, as much as I can, you know, try to be my little PI on who I'm trying to pitch. I want to know, like, what is their problem? Where have they had hiccups? Who has actually had success in that organization? How long did that success last? So go in knowing your stuff. Be sure, but don't give them all your stuff up front.
Right.
Know it, keep it in the backpack, drip it, but know that it's always, and that's what I'm saying, a 50-page deck may be 2 pages when it's done, but you got the 48 other pages of you know, again, objections right in your mouth.
Yes, you pretty much have the encyclopedia on hold in case you have objections that come up. You've already prepared for that, and you can answer succinctly and be direct. And that helps with your credibility and how people perceive you as being a person who is a thought leader and someone who's leading from, you know, a position of strength. Absolutely. You know, the other thing too is I also kind of take this model of what Jack has just suggested here about, you know, anticipating the objections, being able to get them out of the way up front, and then, you know, being able to now focus on how you deliver. And the same idea when you're thinking about either pitching a promotion or maybe you're doing negotiations for a salary increase, the same idea exists there, is that you're able to kind of set the stage for your listener, and then you're able to talk about how you bring or you add value to the table. And so, you know, you don't think about it specifically in regards to problem specific. If the problem is with you, like, hey, I've been here for 8 years and I haven't got a raise, or B, you know, I've been making X amount of dollars and now I want to go to C. So now I have to convince my boss that it's time to do that performance review or go to that next level. The problem might be something that you've generated, right, out of your own distress, with the fact that things aren't the way that you want it. But the thing is, remember, your audience is thinking, what's in it for me?
Yes,
What's in it for me? So you've got to be able to position that argument, that negotiation, that position from their standpoint, the listener.
Absolutely. That is so real. And that's why, as I mentioned, the opportunity really has to be that solution. The solution is really about going in and once you understand, whether it's, to your point, like looking at it from a negotiating salary or negotiating a promotion or another opportunity. I've done that, right? Like I went in with a 2-page deck, if you will, and again, highlighted the problem, was anticipating the objections, but then very much focused on how this was going to be a solution that was going to benefit not only the firm, but the client experience, right? And the employee experience and the shareholder experience. And I was able to bring that not just in words, but in value. So being able to show how, the solution, if you will, how it increases by X%, how it increases employee engagement by X%, how it reduces, attrition and increases retention, how client experience scores tend to then populate, go. So being very, very, because again, what I've also learned is that some people are very like, just show me the numbers. Like, I don't want to hear all the fluff. I don't want to hear how fancy and excellent and superb you are. Like, tell me, some people need you to go directly to the dollars and to the cents. So you've got to be sensitive to that audience too. So there was days where I'm like, oh, they're like, Jackie, you're cute. No, get to the point. So I'm like, okay. So let me tell you how this will increase your bottom line, 20% reduce attrition by this, slow compliance like this, and take the client experience here. Any questions, right? So understand, like, some people just need to understand, tell me how this is going to benefit me. What's in it for me with them?
Yes, so good. So this time is flying by. For the remainder of the show, we're going to be doing a couple different things. So we're going to be getting into our segment called the hot seat. And I used to set up this hot seat time, because how often do you get someone who's got 27 plus years of experience leading at such a high level to be here on your show, to be able to bring value to your listeners? And so with this hot seat, I'm going to use it to ask Jack a question that I'm sure so many people are wondering about. So that'll be part of our next segment that we'll be starting when we come back.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna break.
Lemonade here.
Okay. Are you ready, Jay?
I am.
All right, and we're back. So we're here for the hot seat segment, part of the show where I get to ask our guest a stimulating question that can help our listeners move even forward, I should say, in this concept that we've been talking about on today's show. So, Jack, what I want to ask you is, what is an amazing leadership lesson that you've learned thus far in your journey as a woman leader of color?
Ooh, major leadership lesson is to stay true to yourself. Every time I tried to conform and do things the way I thought everyone else wanted me to do them, it made me miserable. And then one day I just woke up, and when I realized that I can be who I am and actually be super brilliant and super successful as a leader, as a person that people actually want to follow, who people have asked to mentor, and I have not had to change. I'm sitting here with my big puff in my hair, I'm smiling from ear to ear, and there were times where if I had this kind of energy, it was used actually as a way that did not gain respect for me in certain rooms because it wasn't taken seriously. And so I thought I had to be serious and mean and funky. And I learned that was not who I was. And so I was like, well, maybe those aren't the rooms that I need to be in. I need to be in the rooms where they respect my brilliance, my leadership, and I can be exactly who I am. And now I can operate in my complete excellence. So that would be one, just when I say be authentic, I know it's a
Yes.
cliche, but
Yes.
I'm for real. I'm authentically Jack with I even got a necklace to
Like, authenticity is not a cliche. Unfortunately, it has become one of these buzzwords that people are using. But I'm telling you, the further that you get in your leadership journey, the more that you understand that the world goes on, whether you're playing a role or not playing a role, the more you're going to get clear about who you are and how you want to show up. Like Jack was saying, the more you keep trying to play that role and you realize it's not getting you any further, it's not making you happier, it's not gaining you the respect, then you realize, hey, I might as well just be me.
I might as well just
right?
be me. And when I realized who I was authentically was a leader. See,
Yes.
I realized that God created me as a leader. I had to step back and realize, like, as right now, it was funny, it's Labor Day, right? My son is outside. He's got a cute little lemonade stand that he's doing because he's a little leader in training. And I remember being his age, he's 11, and I remember getting girls together on the street, and I would like, all right, girls, you're going to be selling that block, you're going to be on that block. We would sell our lemonade, and here I was 11 years old already running my little sort of enterprise. And so now fast forward, 40 plus years, it's recognizing who you are and being able to be really excited about the leader that's already in you and just doubling down on that.
That's right. And I think that's when you find that realization, that self-awareness about who you are, then it's easy to step in line with what your sweet spot is, which makes you even more compelling when you do something like pitch to an audience, pitch to an idea. This is how you can be basically pitch perfect in any given situation, because you know that you're the brand, and no matter where I am and who's being served, you know it's going to be at this level of excellence because I'm attached to it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Nobody can tell my story better than I can tell it. So that's why, again, when I'm pitching certain things, I just draw on those experiences. The name of my business is called Jack'sperience, and it's really about saying, I'm giving you all of my experience in one scoop when I bring you my value, when I bring you my solution. So that's what's interesting. It's experience.
So good. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know she was going to say that. I'm so glad. This is so good.
Don't Google me yet. No.
Yeah, don't Google it yet. Stay right here, but play this back, because what you got is you got nuggets here. So this time has flown by. What I want to ask you is there anything right now that you're currently working on, or any causes of interest for you that you want to share with our listeners, or anything you want to say on the way out?
Yes, here's what I will say. As we wrap up summer and enter into our fall season, I will say that for me, summer 2020, it was a very, 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 it was a breakthrough experience for me. And I want to leave you with what I learned over summer 2020 was we do have to every day, with everything going on in the world right now, whether it be COVID, our social justice issues, unemployment. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could be complaining about, but I will tell you is the breakthrough that I got this summer is that there's a lot to be grateful for. And I'm taking this year right now. So you say, what is on the agenda? I took this year to just pause and breathe and smell the roses. I took this time off to spend with my children. It's a very, very critical time in their personal and in my professional life. And right now, my children needed me more than ever. My community and my family needed me more than ever. We took this time this summer to heal. We did a lot of mental healing, emotional healing. We did a lot of physical healing. We started cooking more and spending more time together. We truly just realized like how blessed we are to be alive. And so I would say right now in this moment, I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have my family still here. I'm grateful that, this moment has taught me a lot about the precious value of life and what it really means to be a leader. And right now, leadership, as we see happening in this country and this world, is very important. Feeling really confident and comfortable about our leaders. And so I knew as a leader, I knew it was time for me to take some time off and to rest, to truly rest my mind, my body, my soul, and my spirit, so that when it's time to come back, because I'm coming back.
Yes. Don't come back. I've been here for years.
It's like those artists like Jay-Z and them when they retire and they're like, I'm coming back. And they give you like the baddest album ever. And you're like, I thought you retired and you came back with an album. So that's
right.
what we're doing. So me and the crew behind the scenes, we're working on our album.
Our next project.
And, you know, honestly, you know, we're excited. You know, 2021 is going to be a great year. I think there are a lot of valuable lessons we learned this year. So I'll leave it at that. It's going to be a great year. You know, my focus right now is really taking this time to navigate through this moment in time that we're all experiencing. You know, me doing it as a mother, as a budding entrepreneur, as a philanthropist, as somebody who just enjoys looking at new businesses and opportunities to seed new businesses. These are things that are just really intriguing for me at this moment in time. But, you know, I'm excited just to continue to tell my story. I think it's going to be a story that's going to hopefully help a lot of people see that it is not worth giving up when you have a dream, when you have purpose, and when you have passion. Yeah. So I'll leave you with my friend keeps telling me he wants me to, like, one of my good buddies like, you need to write this book. And I'm like, I'm not writing a book, even though I have like 55 journals. But I'll leave you with my P's. This is what he calls the book, the P's. To press past the pace of, and let me say it right. We're pressing past this place of pain and propelling into our perfect peace, our purpose, and God's promise. So that is what's happening for me this year, is pressing past that place of pain that many of us may have experienced in one form, fashion, or another. I know I've, you know, been going through that for a while, and I've just been able to step back and just acknowledge the fact that it is now our opportunity to propel into that perfect peace, our purpose, and that promise. And so that's what's going to happen. I'm excited.
That is so good.
2020 is still not over yet.
That's right.
You know, I don't care what anybody says. For me, this has been a dynamic year of change, opportunity, and focus, and I'm ready for what's in store.
Oh, yes. And so for those of you that are listening, ladies, this has been a jam-packed episode. So like I said, you're probably going to need to play this back, but I just want to leave you with this one idea and this one statement. It's remember the hope, remember the dream, right? That if you keep that inside of you and you keep holding to that you're always going to stay steered on the right path. Like Jack was saying, remember the promise. So even if that job situation, if that salary situation, if that personal situation doesn't seem like it's ideal right now, that you just need to hold to the hope that things are going to improve as long as you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And it doesn't have to be a forced choice. I'm actually going to write you a prescription here, and I'm not that kind of doctor, but I'm saying it anyway. I'm going to write you a prescription here to put yourself as a priority. Yes. So even if that means caring for your health, your mental health, your family, your spiritual health, put yourself as a priority, because everything else is going to be messed up and jacked up if you don't have your priorities right. So we've learned so much in this time. I just want to thank you again, Jack, for being here. Thank you.
Keep your eye on the prize. And
that's right.
I love it. And you are the prize. That's what's so cool about it.
That's right.
That's the prize, baby.
That's right. That's right.
So good. Thank
you.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies, for listening. And I will see you next time. My name is Dr. Sanchez. Have a great day, I should say. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining the conversation. Remember to subscribe, share, and join us next time.